you are. Wondered where you'd got to. Yeah, I've been here all the time. What the hell's this, Tony? What is it? Well, you're not going to believe... Well, you might. You might believe me, but this is a Ceriatone, because that's what they call it, not Ceriatone, as I used to back in 2009. This is a Ceriatone. I've got it written down. Trainwreck. Looks a bit like a train wreck at the minute. Well, it look more like a train wreck when we finished. It's a Trainwreck Express, and it meets the all-access extras that Ceriatone put on there. And I know Nick's the man. He's probably been involved with all of it. Yeah, probably. And this is the result. Now, it's not much to look at right now. It's a bit like me, really, but things will change. Now, this Trainwreck thing, it's a funny thing going on, and a lot of people probably have never heard of him. An amp maker. Well, he's not an amp maker anymore because he passed away some years back. Yeah, Ken Fischer. Now, that's a name you could type in the internet and go and have a look, and there are a whole pile of people better than me with knowledge about Ken Fischer and Trainwreck amps. So don't think for 1 second that I'm the be-all and end-all about that subject, because I'm not. But what I can tell you is that he did make about 100 amps in total, and he gave each one a name. Yeah, he didn't give them a serial number. He went down the, let me call this one Susan, or that one, I don't know, Alex, or whatever. That's what he did. And he didn't have a case like this one. This is a Ceriatone case that I just happened to buy while I was buying the kit. Yeah, and it's very nice too. We'll get to the case and the rest of it later. I might even get a case made by Noisy Hammer, who the guys who were at the recent Birmingham trade show, and they said they could make a Trainwreck case looking like a train wreck. Well, this will never be exactly the same as the original Trainwreck Express, for good reason. Let me explain. Now, as anybody who follows my channel will know, that this is a kit and it's going to be built, well, from parts, literally from parts. Nice case though. So I've got some explanations down there of what the Trainwreck Express is, and how it's been expanded further. And it's all interesting stuff. So I'm going to read that to you rather than me trying to parrot fashion get it in my mind, because it's easier from there, don't you think? Here we go. It says here, the classic Trainwreck Express meets the Ceriatone all-access treatment. Oh, yeah. They have offered the famous and sought-after amp, and it is sought after. I think some of them are fetching, well, at least as much as Dumble, by the way, these days for the real one, or more, if you can ever find one. Yeah, it was sought after amp for many years under the name TW Expression, to a great reception by many guitar players, it says. The current needs and demands, the Trainwreck Expression All Access seeks to offer even more value for the money, and trust me, Ceriatone offer absolutely incredible value. Oh, and just before we go any further, I've got to cover this. I actually bought this amp and had it shipped from, well, wherever Nick is. I think it's Malaysia or somewhere like that. Kuala Lumpur, they often say. Wherever that is. It's somewhere near Singapore, and I've been there, so yeah, I've got an idea. It says here, the original circuit is known to be gainy. I like gainy amps. Requiring finesse to control. Well, you don't need finesse if you're like me. Let's just blunder through. Yeah. As such, the main offering of this model is a clean channel that can be selected via a foot switch, and then the original Trainwreck circuit on the overdrive channel. So Ceriatone has added a clean channel, which I think is probably useful. Well, I know it's useful. Let's think about it. Yeah, crazy. Other than that, they've added the following to make the experience even better. That's what they say. I'm all for it, aren't you? Oh, separate volume and gain control for each channel. The clean and overdrive channels are with separate gain and volume controls, each with its own bright switch, so you can really tailor your sound, distortion, volume of each channel. For the overdrive channel, we also provide, they say, gain character switch, so you can fine-tune the amount of gain you get from the original wild Trainwreck Express. It reminds me of the Misses. To Marshall Crunch, to in between. Now that all sounds good to me, but there's more. There's a separate post PI master volume control, so it's easy to manage your volume. Thank God for that. After some of them other amps, yeah, they can be loud if you want them to be. But this has got a PPIMV master volume. It's got buffer effects loop somewhere. It's in the box. We'll get to see all this because we're going to build this amp from nothing. The solid state LND 150 bass circuit provide a transparent effects loop. Comes with a switch to turn it off too, if you don't want that loop in there. Yeah, all sounds good. There's tube or solid state rectification, so you can have either. It reminds me of a rectifier somehow. It doesn't it? Yeah, the original is solid state, what Ken Fischer developed. But they provide a switch so you can have a tube rectification, which is either GZ34 5AR4, even for a more tonal feel and range. Well, it's all good to have options, isn't it? And then you've got voicing and option switch, or switches, should I say. The amp offers small delights to make it more versatile. Small delights? Well, you get a box of chocolates. No, I don't think so. You can select the presence control capacity using the byte switch, cut highs through the Vox-like high cut control, add thickness through Dumble-like mid boost switch, and even alter the negative feedback values in the power amp using the NFB switch. He says crazy, right? He is crazy, but that's what's great about this amp. It takes a Trainwreck and makes it more Trainwreck, if you get me. And just to round off, it's a 30 watt amp, yeah? It's two EL34s, nice, think Marshally, I don't know. It's got three 12AX7s, so you can put alternatives in there. It's got volume, treble, middle, bass and presence control, three-way bright switch. And what more can I say? I can say it's probably one of the best bargains out there. Now, if you like me and you can build one of these, well, I say I can. I've never built one, but have you? Now listen up. I'm not making this video to look good. You can see I don't look good. But the amp does. Me, I could be you. You could buy one of these and build it. And you can mark my words for the sort of money that it's being sold for. By the time you've finished, not only will you be very experienced, or quite very experienced, with building Ceriatone amps and others, I might add, but you'll have a bargain of a lifetime, because the actual cost of this amp, handmade by you, or in my case, handmade by me, is a veritable bargain compared to some of those other amps out there. Well, in the UK, some of them are very expensive. The Friedman amps in the UK are just an absolute, well, they're a joke. They're a Marshall with, well, basically the same things this has got on, give or take. Yeah, but this one, well, it's about half the price of the Friedman. But there's more than Friedman. Let's not single one out. I mean, we could go down Sir amps. We could. You don't want me getting into it because, well, the hate mail would appear. So let's carry on with this. Now listen, this video is going to be in a number of parts. I'm still on the introduction right now. It's going to be in a number of parts of how you actually build this amp from start to finish. And yes, there'll be soldering and fitting bits and running wires round and all that sort of stuff, all that good stuff. This might fall together in half an hour, I doubt. Or it might take a number of hours. And I really want to put this together on a video so that all the people that go and buy this can at least have a look at, well, what I did. Now it's all different. So what I propose is we unpack this on camera, have a look at what you get, move this case out the way, and then we can get down to building this amp from start to finish. And if there's something I don't like along the way, I might change the things on the front, the things on, who knows what'll happen. But this is going to be an exciting, very exciting sort of video for anybody that's into having a Ceriatone amplifier and building it, whether it's this one or any other one. Okay, well, you can see here's round the back, and I'm going to take this back cover off, and inside will be all the bits and the rest of it. Now, there are options when you're buying this thing, whether you buy basic kits and you don't buy the transformers, or you don't this or you don't that. The case is optional. Well, in fact, most of it's optional. You can buy just the boards or the chassis or the this or the that or the other, and I think that's really good. In my case, I bought the case. Well, I didn't have a case, so why not? But secondly, I didn't buy the tubes because I've got that many tubes here. It's simple for me to put a set of my own tubes in further down the road when it's been built or being built. Yeah, so let's get the back of this off and see what's in there. Piece of paper. Oh, yeah, the entire build. Yeah, there it is. What you've got, what you haven't got. That sounds good. Well, that's the chassis out out of the case. I've moved the case out of the way for. We won't need that for a while, I doubt. But sooner or later, that case will be back, or maybe that other one from Noisy Hammer. So there's that sort of quick shot, that overall view of everything you get in the kit. And don't forget, you don't get the case, but the case is optional. If you don't want a case, or you want to build your own, or you want to make it look more like a train wreck, which I think would be quite hard with all the extra switches unless you put them all around the back somehow. That'd be a plan, but I don't know about that. Anyway, I'm going to move these out of the way, and what I tend to do is to use a box like this to put them all in, and then you can come and get them as you need them. So I'm going to go and do that now. Okay, well, what we've got is this quick overview of the chassis. Oh, look, there's a piece of grounding material there we can pull off and put somewhere else. We'll keep it there for now. In any case, you can see they've got the transformers fitted. Well, they're fitted and they haven't moved, so they're either tight or they're adjustable, or they're this or they're that or they're the other. But I want to draw your attention really to the chassis first of all, and how well it's been made. And if you look at the picture on the screen right now, this chassis's been sort of welded together. It looks like an aluminium chassis to me, which I do believe the original Trainwreck was or is aluminium. And yeah, authentication all by itself, really. I think that's quite nice to see a chassis of that calibre with its aluminium welding down the side. Well, here we are around the top of the chassis. Once again, like I said, it's immaculate. This is the quality that you'd expect from, well, any top-end company. Okay, well, that is the power transformer. It says PT 230 volts, that'll work. Trainwreck, or 240 volts. 22nd of March 2022, so that's been sitting somewhere, but I don't really care when it was made. That's good. And you can see it's a pretty chunky transformer, is that. I tell you what, it's finished very nice as well. I've seen historically with some other people doing some Ceriatone stuff, where they sort of criticise the transformer in some way, but that one looks, up to now, really very nice. There it is, the output transformer, the Trainwreck output transformer, 13th of December 2024, so, oh my God, it's still warm. Well, it could have been. As it happens, it isn't. I would have liked to have seen on this one end covers like on the power transformer. These are a little bit, well, they make it look a bit cheaper than what it really is, I think. Yeah, just a note. And at the side of it is this choke. I'm pretty confident it's a choke. It says here 14th of January 2020, looks like 3. A 5H, it's 5 Henrys is that. So there it is, fitted well. They're all fitted well. It all looks quite nice. Okay, well I know they're currently wrapped. I understand that. I just don't want to get them damaged, you know, while we're messing around with other stuff and have these getting thrown around and all that sort of thing that goes on. And it says very nicely, Ceriatone something wreck, all access. You see it, all very nice. What more can you say about them? Anyway, here's the chassis. I've checked the components, they look about right to me. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get the camera down and take it, well, I'm just going to do them. You're going to watch me do the bits and pieces as we go. Yeah, that's like a plan. But just before we do that, I do actually want to show you something so that you've got more of an idea. If you're not one of these experts, I think it matters. It's all to do with Ceriatone and the pictures that they've put online. Now some people might think that those pictures they've put online are just there so you can look at the quality of what they do. Well no, there's far more to it than that, because if you take one of these, we'll just take that one, you might see it on the screen or not, but in either case you can't really get wrong what you're looking at, because that's actually a completed amp. And what you can do, I mean, I've got that as number 1. I'll have another one here. This is number 3. It's really difficult to get that wrong, isn't it? So it all adds up into being very, very useful. And the other thing you really have to have, and I just want to cover this while we're here because I won't be coming back to it particularly unless I find some crazy problems, is this one. I have shown it before on the video, but this one is an updated one. If you're sometime around early 2025, the original one I pulled down was a December the 1st, 2024. So what they've done is updated this on a March the 1st, 2025 diagram. In fact, I mark mine. I don't know what you would do, but mark everything as what it is. And then you can't really go far wrong, because this diagram is actually what you work to. I just wanted to cover all that, you know, for the guys that have never done a build before or anything like that. And you know, there's no line by line instructions on the internet of how to build one of these. You work from this and the pictures. And yeah, I've done it before, so I know I can do it. You probably can too, yeah. Okay, well, as I hope you can see, I've got the chassis in front of me. This is the front of the amp. This is the back of the amp. Easy enough. And I've got the diagram of where the sockets go across the front. What we'll do is fit all that first. With the front plate, don't forget, if you don't fit the front plate, you'll be taking it all back off. And then we'll fit the components in the back, and again, you've got to fit the plate, otherwise you'll be taking it all back off. So I'm going to go and do that. And yeah, you don't want to watch me screwing bits in there like that. But that's what I'm going to go and do. I've also marked out, for no confusion, power transformer, output transformer, choke, and what's that one? Yeah, more power transformer. Yeah, can't get it wrong mode. Okay, well, when you're fitting these three here, they can be a little bit awkward. And don't forget you've got that front panel to line up and stuff like that. What I did is put one down there so that you've got a sort of levelling up thing going on. But when you're fitting these, they do come with these spring washers, but I found that you don't actually need the spring washers, and there is a locating pin, as you can see on the screen now, when you fit these, so they aren't going to turn out of the way and stuff like that. So yeah, let's crack on. Okay, well, taking a look across that's the front. You can see how these are fitted. They can't turn, so they might move a little bit, but not much. What I've done is like they did on the diagram. I've marked every one of these with what they actually are, because once they're fitted, you can't actually tell what they are. And if we have a look across the front now, you'll get some idea of where we're at. You can see them there. They're all marked. And one more thing, when it comes down to these two down here, Yeah, you're probably going to have to pull them out to put bits on them. Now, of course, you won't forget the biasing, will you? This is an external bias pot. It's a 25k linear, it says there. And always write on them what they are, because it does actually make a difference. And if you have a look on the Ceriatone diagrams, you'll see that they've actually done that too, and I think it's a good idea. Okay, well, you can probably see how far I've got. I fitted all the switches across the front, all the little connectors, all the switches, all the pots, they're all in there. One of the things you do need to be careful of is you've got a lead here, and this lead only just fits by about one thread, so that's a bit of a pain. It'll probably be fine, but I've got it sort of sticking out a bit. I'm not too worried about it. I'll solve it one way or another. I've also fitted the 6-volt power light down here, if you can see that. You might, down there. And around the back here, of course, you can see a lot of things going on. One of the things you can see going on, I've got 2 white ones and 1 black one. Do bear that in mind, that they're not necessarily red and black or whatever you think they are, because they're not. Another thing I have missing is 2 of the cliff connections for the effects loop, and I'll be speaking to Nick about that, because I haven't got any. Everything else looks fine. I'll turn it round so you can have a look. Oh, one more thing. When you're fitting this impedance switch, it's got one of those washers with a little hook on it so it can hook into something. Well, it can't, because there's no hole for it to hook into. So that's just one thing you need to be aware of. This one here gets very near to these 2, well, what are those? Those are the outputs, I think. Yeah, those are the speaker outputs. So you've got to bend the 2 inside things out of the way. I've then got the test connectors, if you will, for the bias. We've then got this half and high power switch. We've got 2 fuse holders there and the mains input. Yes, don't forget the BIOS. It's a 25k linear, because I wrote on the back of mine. Oh, you didn't? Well, yeah, I would if I was you. I think what's next is we should be looking at those grounds. We've got some grounds to put in there. And there's some 2-way grounds and some 1-way grounds. And they get bolted to the chassis, wherever you need them to go, ready for when you start soldering and stuff like that. There's one other thing you want to check, just while you're in the throes of this particular point. Make sure that these screws holding all the transformers on are actually tight, because they might not be. They might have come loose, or they might have this, or they might have that. So just make sure that's okay, won't you? Yeah, I would. If there's any of these switches that become difficult to connect to, all we'll do is undo them, connect and reconnect. It's that simple, really. And I'm also going to be fitting in the sockets for the tubes, and that singular, I think it's 50/50 capacitor or something like that. It's got the rectifier tube, 2 power tubes, and of course that capacitor, that 50/50, as I'll call it for now, because I haven't really looked, but that'll go down there. So I'm going to fit all them sockets, and it'll all be good. Well, at least I hope it will. Okay, I want to look a bit closer down here, because my chassis is slightly differently laid out than what the chassis is, or was at the time that I'm building the amp. And you'll notice that I've got the 50/50 capacitor here. Okay, now I'll explain why it fits there. Because that hole is bigger than these other 3. Okay, and the actual mounting screws are wider than those other 3. So it can only really fit there. Okay, well, I'm not sure how well you can see the little grooves in these sockets. There's 3 of them. But they all face towards the back, those little grooves. And as long as they're facing towards the back, you can't really get them wrong. Okay, well, if you can see that picture on the screen now, you can see that there's an area of the preamp tube socket that's got a little 0 on it and no pin. And that faces away from the back of the chassis. And if we have a look at those EL34 types, you can see very clearly from the back, there's a photograph on screen, where the little the nib goes, and that's easy. Okay, well, I've only got a few little pieces to fit. As you can see, well, that is to the mechanical side of things. You can see that I've done basically most of everything else. I've got all the grounding in there, if you can see them. You might see an easier one there. And there's some down here, one there, one there, one there. We've got the tube sockets in, as I decided they were going to be. I've got all these across the top in there. Yeah, it all looks pretty good to me up to now. So the mechanical side really is nearly finished, and yeah, it all looks pretty brilliant. There's one thing left to do, and that's these things. I don't know if you can see them. Am I on auto? Yeah, I am. Well, these are really mountings for the board. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and fit them next, and then we complete, in effect, the actual hardware part of the build, and then we can move on to, well, basically we'll move on to the main board. If you've got this far, at least you can have a look at mine and see where I've gone wrong. Or not. But in all seriousness, I mean, it's coming along great. It should come out quite nice. Well, I'm quite confident it will. Okay, lastly for this particular section, you might want to take something like a bit of red paint. Just take it, make sure all your screws are nice and tight. That's the first job. But then you might just want to put a little bit of red paint on the thread, like I've just showed you, and like I can show you on any of the others. It's all the same stuff. Yeah, you just put a little bit of paint on that thread there, and it does two things really, that does. First thing it does is it tells you that you've checked it, but the second thing it does actually is it helps to sort of keep it locked in place. So when we're going through all these little screws, you might want to just put that little dab of paint on them. And then you know they've been done, first of all, like I said. And then, second of all, the chances of them falling off are far, far less. That was something I learned a very long time ago. Yeah. And that concludes the building of the trainwreck All Access Express. Part 2 will be basically doing all the boards, just in case you didn't know, and anything associated with them. And part 3 will be fitting the boards and testing and things like that. Part 4 will probably be playing, or it might all scrunch down into 3 parts, which I'm hoping really. So up and coming next will be the boards. And hey, if you like this sort of stuff, don't forget to do that thumbs up, that subscribe, hit the button and ring that darn bell. Yeah. Takes a lot of time and effort to sit here doing all this stuff, and it's always nicer if you've got some friends like you that can yeah, subscribe. It helps the channel. Costs money to do this stuff, costs a lot of money overall, and you never get back what you put into the channel, no matter, well, I don't, no matter how hard I try. I could go down other routes, and yeah, I could definitely get earning from it, but I don't really want to earn from it. Well, here we are in part 2 of the Ceriatone Express All Access Amplifier build. And in this section, what we're going to be doing is all of the ancillary boards. You can see there's a couple, but there's more. And we're also going to do the main board and fit all the components in and do the wiring underneath and all that sort of really good stuff. So I hope you can look forward to enjoying that. This part 2 covers all of that aspect so that you're ready just to drop those boards in. And we might even fit them in this particular section. I don't know yet, because you do it as you do it and look for problems as you go. But I don't anticipate many problems. It's been all pretty good up to now, if you want the truth. So let's get down to it and start building these ancillary boards and then the main board. And don't forget, you really do want to have one of these. This is updated on March the 1st, 2025. And of course, I'll just show you these before we move on. Diagrams off Ceriatone's website like this. So you can't really get things, well, you can. But it's certainly, these things are a massive, massive help. And if you've got an A3 printer like I have, just trust me, these images are absolutely essential, especially if you're not actually an engineer, which I'm not. Okay, well, do remember before you really get going with this thing down here, that you do need a proper solder station or something that's reminiscent of being pretty good. So this one here, as you can see on the screen, it can sort of hold the board if you want it to. It's got a little thing for zooming in and putting a little light on. It can do all that stuff, which is all well and good. But it's like everything else. If you don't want to use that, just use a soldering iron. And you can also use those charts that I've showed you on other stuff. This particular chart is capacitor, microfarads, nanofarads and picofarad conversion. Yeah, which you might want to use or not. If you're conversant, it's not a problem. But if you're not, well, it's another story. You might even need something like this that can sort of give you the colours of the resistors, and so you can work out what they are. Let's open this up and see what we've got inside. Well, now as you can see, I mean, it's not rocket science. You've got a few little components. You've got some resistors, a couple of, well, they look like transistors, they could be anything really. Some capacitors, a variable thing for on the board, a holy grail 450 volt 22 microfarad capacitor, and the board itself, which is quite nice. So yeah, what I'm going to do is fit them in here, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, well, here is the Whipper board. You can see its quality. I've got them all except for one little capacitor, which should be, one little capacitor which should be in there, 10 picofarads, which I can't seem to find anywhere, but don't worry about it, I've got one, or I will have in a day or two. That's the back of the board, and how clean it is, and what the quality of the soldering's like. It looks fine to me, probably looks fine to you. So if your board's similar to that, and you've got the 10 picofarad fitted, you're on a winner. That's the end of this board for now, and what we'll do is move on to the next component, or the next bit. And there they are. There's not really a lot to them. Yeah, I'll have a look at the diagram, have a look what components go on, find the components, fit them on there, and I'll be back in a minute when you can take a quite nice look at it, assuming I get it right. Okay, well, the relay board actually doesn't need anything doing to it particularly currently. It might do later on. But I fitted the relay in it, and that's about it for that one for now. I'll put that with the other one. And this board, this is the power board. This is the board for the relay. This is the relay power board. And there should be more connections underneath, which I can't really do right at this second, but I will be doing them, obviously, as we get nearer and as we fit all the wires that have got to go through it. It's not too difficult, and I don't really think I'll have much trouble with that. But you do need to check these items on here very carefully, because, well, these diodes here need to be all set the right way. And don't forget there's one down underneath there. If you can just about see it, you might, yeah, you can just about see it down in there. So you need to get them the right way. These are 330k. I think 330k, 330 something. I did check them. So that's another board done. And yeah, I'm going to move on to the main board. Yeah, here it is. Let me zoom out a bit. So this is what's coming up, the main board. I'm going to put it down and rearrange everything and start doing some work on this. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, well, here we are with the main board. I've got one item basically missing. Don't ask me why, but it is missing. And it's this 100k resistor down there, the opposite one to that. Apart from that, this is getting itself ready to be done, but it's got all the work to have done because you've got to do things on the back. Yeah, so it's all coming along very nice, and this has taken me about, well, a couple of hours the other day and a couple of hours now, because if you rush it, you know, you can end up with a bit of problems. I don't like to rush it. I've got nice and shiny, yeah, connectors too, you know, the solder joints. They all matter, don't they? On the resistor that's missing, I think this one was in the pack. But this is a 10k and I need 100k, and I've checked it with meters and all sorts of stuff, and it's definitely a 10k. All exciting. So as well as the board, this one's again not had any work done on the back yet, but it will do. Yeah, it's only been soldered in a couple of places, that one. It's all very nice. I've got the relay board I've shown before. I've got nothing on that at the moment. That just sits as a relay board. And I've got this one, which again I'm waiting for a particular 10 pico capacitor on that one. And apart from that, again, if there's anything to be done on the back, I've got to do it. So I've got bits of wire and everything all over the place. Yeah, it's looking really cool, that is. Hope you saw that. Really nice thick board too. Really thick. That's an 1/8 of an inch thick. It's all exciting to do this stuff, and you get a sense of achievement when you finished it, you know. Now, well, you get diagrams like this that I've shown many times, and plenty of photos. There's always something that you can't see, and when you've got the something you can't see, well, ultimately you end up being stuck. So in the case of the resistor, I've got the 10k resistor, and I've ordered 100k ones just to solve the problem, along with other little bits and pieces that I've ordered to solve the problem. Different little things, but they're nothing major, and anybody could solve them relatively quick, really. Yeah. Okay, well, I've moved even much further forward. Well, I say much further. It doesn't look it, but I have. Well, first of all, if we look at this little power supply board, remember it, don't you? Well, I've actually put the links on the back, or at least some of them. Some of them are off external wires. So I'll leave them solderable for now, if that's the right word. You can see a picture on the screen now of the back. And what I did was to mark where those wires and where they're going to connect from on the back of the board, and put sort of little ghost lines on there so that I know where the wires are going to go. Like, keep it simple, right? Well, this is the loop, and I've now got the connectors for in the chassis. I'm not going to show them you at the moment because they're over there and I'm here, and we're talking about PCBs, that's why. So yeah, I've then moved on to this one, and I thought, well, it looks great from the front, and you've seen that earlier, or at least I hope you have. But now it's time to, what you have to do is you have to make a load of connections on the back. Bit like that, if you see it. Well, I'm going to put a picture, I'm going to turn it over and put a picture on the screen of exactly what I'm looking at. And what you'll see, basically, it's very similar to what I did with this other little power board. So what I do is put the connectors on where they need to go. They're all almost like traces, yeah. And if they're red, and if they're black, they're black. So it keeps it simple for the most part. But then what I do is I take a look at the layout and see where all the connections are coming from. And what I do is just take one of these little permanent pens and put it on. As you can see right now on the board, it's sort of marking out where everything's going to go when we put the board in, and the wires that connect to it. Now that's important because if you don't do that, you could be grovelling a little bit and grovelling on one of these isn't a good idea. No, it wants proper connections. I just thought I'd go over that with you because I can't see an actual photograph of the back of a board. That's not a criticism of Ceriatone, because it's actually there on the diagram, on the layout diagram, with dotted lines. So you can do it, because I have. But I just wanted to make it easier for anybody that's sort of coming along this way. It isn't really an engineer. Yeah, I'm one of them, really. Now, when I recently completed that headfirst Marshall origin conversion, I put black knobs on the front. They're like Marshall knobs, if you will, but they're black and they've got a white or creamy line on them. They look particularly good. So, as you can see on that picture on the screen right now, that's what I've done with this machine. I'll call it that, because it's going to be some sort of machine when it's finished, man. I think it looks particularly good with those black knobs on there. What do you guys think? If you think it looks bad, say so. If you think it looks good, say so. Don't matter to me, but, you know, I like what I like, same as you do. In any case, that's it for this little section. I'll be carrying on fitting the parts as they come in, and then we'll be ready to fit the board and the rest of it. Okay, well, here I am in the sort of early throes of the chassis wiring. Now, there is a lot to do, and there'll be more wiring on the board that's over there a bit later. But what I want to do is just to, first of all, just come in close and show you a couple of things that I've started doing. And, yeah, a bit of an explanation to people that have never done one before. And there are some funny things, and caught me out for a second or two. To be honest, I'm no expert on building amps, but this particular thing, I thought, well, how weird's that? And I'll take you through it. Okay, well, here we are a bit closer to the chassis, and I want to show you this back part round here first of all, really. Yeah, quite a bit of a thing. I got to where I was doing the heaters, really. And I'm looking at the diagrams and all the rest of it. And the diagrams are saying, yeah, take the pair of brown wires that come out of the transformer just down there. In fact, you can see them going around the back there. However, what confused me at the time, I've been asleep since I did an amp like this one, long time. But anyway, I get to this and I think to myself, well, they always have a black and a red going from, you know, from tube to tube, so to speak, for the heaters. I've seen it myself. And I thought to myself, okay, I've got two browns. Well, which is the plus and minus? And I might catch you that way if you're not that clever like me. But the fact is, well, it doesn't work like that. How it works is those two brown wires are AC. They're not DC. They're AC. AC/DC? No, not that one. Yeah, so they're AC, so they don't have a plus and a minus. So you can put either one onto that tube, on the correct pins, of course. Either one, and it won't make a bean of difference, and yeah, off you go. The truth is that you need to keep the one side always the same one side between wherever it goes, if you get me. So if the black's always on that one, you make sure the black's always on that one on every place it visits. Because if you twist them over, it can increase the noise. Yeah, because these are heaters. So they say. That's what they say, and you know, I believe them. So that was the reason why I did that. And I just wanted to cover that because it wasn't immediately obvious to me. I've got the thing there, I'll call it that, and the two purple wires that go to it. Yeah, so there's that. I've moved one of the earths from being just under there to here, because on this layout, remember that this capacitor was over here somewhere. It's all been moved around a bit from the drawings. So I've put this other connector here, which makes things nice and easy to, well, to wire in if you want the truth. And you can see that, yeah, this little bit's been done between these two sockets. And of course I've started to connect up the other side that you can't particularly see at the moment, but I wouldn't worry about that. I just wanted to cover the thing about the AC, and no plus and minus. Yeah, so I hope that helps somebody somewhere at some stage. It might or might not, but I wouldn't worry too much if it doesn't help you much and you're already fully conversant with all of that. Doesn't matter. I'm just sort of showing you the things that I find a bit quirky as I go. And I'm using one or two little ideas that could help you. Now then, we've all seen this. This is the layout. If you look very carefully at this particular layout, you can see down here there's a load of things covered in green. Right, so what I do is I go around the fittings, wiring up A, B or C or whatever it might be, I mark them off on the layout so there's no question that they've been done. Because later on, when this is full of wires, just trust me, it's going to get harder and harder to trace through and mess around with. I've been here before on the Ceriatone in 2009 or thereabouts, and you can get yourself in a bit of a tizwas. Okay, well, I've done a pile more inside here, and I think I'll let you have a closer look at how far I've got, what I've done, what I haven't, and I'll mention if there's anything a bit awkward that I've had trouble with, and there is lots. But that's not the fault of Ceriatone, that's the fault of Tony. I mean, let's face it, it's not a simple amp. It might look a simple amp, but I don't think it is. Thanks for watching so far. It's all been interesting. Why not do that thumbs up thing, do that subscribe, and hit that bell, dong. Could be ding actually. And yeah, it'll help the channel. Okay, well, here's a gut shot. So what you've got is these two brown wires are really for the heaters. So I decided to put them on this little tag board here. So that was one of the things I did to the lamp. I just thought that was a bit crazy when they come in sort of past the doorway, if you get me. What else have I done? I've run this wire across the master volume and put these little resistors on and these 5-watt thingies. I've done all that. There's still lots to do down that end, don't get me wrong, but I'm sort of working my way across. I've been on the heaters for quite a while actually. They're a bit awkward to get into place for me. Yeah, some of these are connected. Some of these transformer wires. Some of them aren't. So that's in progress. There's wires that have got to go off down here to the front inputs. That's got to be done. And obviously I've still got loads and loads of other stuff to do, including all this stuff along this side. And that'll be coming up tomorrow for me. Might not be coming up tomorrow for you, but it is for me. I just wanted to keep you up to date of exactly how far along I am so far. Okay, I want to show you one more little thing that I've found as I've been sort of working my way around, just double checking everything, or double checking what I can find that could be a problem, and certainly I did find one, and it relates to the impedance switch. And once you connect the wires, yeah, you can't really test it quite as you wanted to. You'd have to take some of the wires off, and I don't really want to do that. But I did find this problem. Now, if you look actually on the screen right now, you can see that the third from the right, the one with the little red and the yellow wires coming off, the one that's got two wires coming off, let's put it that way, was solder bridge between itself and the fourth connect, the one that's got the orange on. And that just happened because the solder had ran down and sort of shorted things out. Yeah. Well, you don't want that happening in your amp, I can tell you now. What I was looking at, one of the things that was a little bit confusing to me, was some of the output transformer wires. If you look at the output transformer, there's two areas where the wires come out, so to speak. One's got black, orange, green and yellow, which I thought was fair enough. But the other one, the other output from the OT, could be an input, who knows? I'm simple, remember? Got the pink that comes out of that one, and there's a grey that comes out of that one, and each one of those two goes off to a different EL34, so to speak. Yeah, looking at it there. But then I've got these other three wires. You can see them there. There's a blue, there's a brown, and there's a red. And I was getting myself in a bit of a tizwas with them, because I can't see on the diagram anywhere where it actually shows you those wires there, and what's used and what's not used in the way that I'd expect it to be, really. That the brown and the blue don't get used, which only leaves the red. There it is. And I think that red goes down here, the CT, what CT is, centre tap, I guess. I think that's what he did say, that, didn't he? You use the centre tap. Anyway, once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this forward a little bit and let you have a look inside of where I've got to. Okay, well, I've moved along a bit further. You can see me two EL34s and what's been done around there. It all looks pretty reasonable to me. It's a bit awkward, some of it. And if you look at these things here, they're quite awkward to do, but not as awkward as some of the ones on the other side, which are down at the bottom and stuff like that. But that's where I'm at with them. But I did do the little bits and pieces on here and down at the bottom. And the important part was these wires here that I was talking about not many minutes ago, the output transformer wires. And I did isolate them back, I think pretty much so, to where they should go. And just for completeness, you can see there's the board starting to be fitted. Okay, so let's go from the switch end, which you can see at the moment. Yeah, there it is. These wires that are down here are wires that aren't used, from what I can see. I think I'm pretty right on them. And the rest of them are going off wherever they should go to. And there's the little lamp that comes off that little bit of tag strip that I put in. So here we are, and yeah, this is the master volume, but I've only got one of these two resistors at the moment, hence this hasn't all been completely wired in. I've done this whole section here, and I think that's almost complete. There's a couple of bits and pieces got to go on, and the connectors that go off to the board, if there is any wires, they haven't been done either yet. These two here, you'll see me holding up, you'll see in a short while, they're off the choke. And these ones that are here are the wires that I was telling you about from the output transformer. As I said, it's not all entirely complete. Let's move along a bit further. As you probably see now, where am I? I'm up to there. So we're getting towards the end. Okay, you look at the rest of it across here. Let's move them. It gets quite involved sometimes down at the bottom here and all the rest of it. But I've done all that. All the way across my little bits of cabling. Yeah, it all seems reasonable. I've got the input to do that, hasn't had anything done, and these wires dangling down the bottom here connect to the board, so I did run some of them in place, but more on them later. It's easy enough to do. Just a question of finding out the right places for the wires, and it's all in business. Some of it might help somebody. If it only helps one person, it's worth doing. Because of what it is, this express or access train wreck. Now, I'm good at making train wrecks. Not this sort, no, the other ones. So we'll see how this turns out, and yeah, I'm going to go away and do some more now, and I'll be back. You remember this document, don't you? There it is. You do remember it. Yeah, so like I said, taking a quick look at it. You can see all these orange bits all the way around. Well, those are where there are peripheral connectors that connect to the main board from wherever. Doesn't really matter where from, but they are going to the main board. So it highlights the connections I've got to do, and it also makes it easier to find connections that are numbered like a Z or an M. They're much easier to find. The other thing I did was, as you probably know, if you've watched it all the way through, anywhere where it's green is complete, right? Which means that makes it a lot easier as well. You can see very simply on this diagram where I haven't been and where I have been. By the way, the main board is built, just in case you've hopped in part way through. So then we've got the next bit. If you look at these purple bits, well, these are all connections that go to various places. One place is the loop, yeah, the return and send, and those are like shielded cable. There's some also going down to these first two preamp tubes, And there's a couple of connections going off up to these front controls and connectors. That's the input there. So you can see overall that there's quite a good overview of where exactly I'm at. I mean, I haven't filled out every last single connector yet, but I have nearly. Anyway, that's my plan. That's where I'm at, and I'm going to carry on starting to fit the board. Yeah, I think I'm at that point now. Here we are taking a quick look part of the way through the video, and you can see that I've got further than I did before. There's still a few things got to be worked on, and I'm not too worried about any of them because I'll be doing checks as I go along until it's complete, and that's what you should be doing too. If you don't check any of this stuff, well, trust me, you're going to come unstuck. Now, I don't think anybody's perfect, least of all me, but second of all you. So do check every single thing more than once, about 10 times by the time I get to the end of this thing. And one thing, I just want to mention this while we're in passing. Some of the colours of the wires that are on the actual amp on Ceriatone's website are different than the colours on the layout. Just bear that in mind. And I've tried to keep the same colours as per the layout and modified my little notes to say, well, this green actually is a blue or whatever. And I haven't been able to do that everywhere, but in here you will find that sort of thing. I've used that little thin wire they supply on occasion. The reason I don't like that much is it's very difficult to strip with the stuff I've got. And the thicker wire, well, that's quite good. The board's in there, and with the board, really, I've got a few wires coming in the top, here and here. Nothing in there, I don't know why, it's probably me. But I have fastened a lot of the wires from the underneath, so it looks tidier. This is all done, all the way round. And there's the rectifier tube, which is sprouted a few more bits and pieces, and I'll be fastening that wire down, as I said. Okay, so that should give you a bit of an idea of where I'm up to overall. And, you know, it's coming along quite well. There is a lot of work to do on it, so remember that. So I was just letting you have a look at where we're at, and yeah, I'm going to go and do a bit more, and I'll be back, and then I think this time, by the time I've finished this, I'll show you one more look around, and then it'll be ready for the testing stage. But that's still a little bit off. It's probably I reckon it's probably a day. I don't mean literally a day, I mean a sort of day of a bit here and a bit there and a bit, you know, whatever. Well, okay, there's a bit of a journey. It's not something you just want to take on just willy-nilly. I think I must tell you that. The amp basically is finished. I haven't turned it on. I'm going to show you all the insides once again of the finished amp, and there is a lot of different things been done since you last saw it just minutes ago on the channel. Okay, well, here we are taking a look along the back edge, and you'll find that as we go, some of my stuff won't look like it does with Ceriatone, of course. So let's look at what we've got along here. We've got this power supply board, which is one of the things you need to run your wires around, and there's a fair few wires that come off that. It mounts on the back plate here, and yeah, no real problem with that one. That's not where the problem lies for me, and remember, everybody's going to be different. This section here is really the loop. There's the ins and the outs and the pluses and the minuses and all the rest of it. And they do connect onto the board. There's a couple of places. One's down there and one's down here. The rest of it I've kept short like this. And they are the type of coaxial type of connection. And they're a bit awkward to understand from the drawing. That's my opinion. I had a similar problem even back in 2009. Now, other people might be able to say, oh yeah, I can understand that, no problem. Well, that might be the case, but for me, it did prove a little bit awkward. This is the section for the ohms range and the outputs of the output transformer, basically. If you take a good look at the colours down there, mine's slightly different on this one. I think they use a white for that, for some reason. Doesn't really matter. There you go. I really want to highlight this section here because there's a lot of grounds. You can't really see them from there. I might put a picture on the screen or something, but there's a lot of grounds around this that you've got to fasten in one way or another. Now you'll come up with your own way, the same as I did, but it's a bit untidy on mine, but well, they're on there tight, so it should be okay. I just wanted to go over that, and I didn't mention it a little bit earlier. Yeah, so we're back to this section again, the speaker outs. These are a little bit kerfuffly to fit, you know, these little resistors, and there's quite a lot of them all over the place, particularly on the little switches and some capacitors, and you've got to get the wires in, and just take your time with that, won't you? I've got yeah, all the usual stuff down here on the EL34s, but we'll look at that in a minute. This is for the bias, so you can check from outside. This bit here, this is a half power switch. Just follow the diagrams and you'll be fine. And moving to the end of the chassis, we can see there's the capacitor and a couple of fuse holders, input power, that goes off around the back, and all the rest of it. We've got the GZ34, I think it is. Well, whatever it is, it's a rectifier tube and it fits in there quite nicely. That's what I'll say. Okay, well, I hope you can see that. There's the on and off and the standby and another switch for something. I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet. I just wired it in. You can see it's not really difficult. These wires down the front, by the way, are coming off the power transformer, and some of them aren't used for 240 volt section. I know the white isn't used and the pink isn't used. I think of them that are on there. Well, here we go. Here's the master volume, and I wrote on the back of my pots what they did, because that does definitely help you to find where you are when you're fitting wires from the inside. Just trust me on that. That was a good idea, and it's clearly one that they use at Ceriatone. Anyway, there it is, and eventually I got the second 2M2 resistor. Well, I bought a couple, left the old one off and fitted them instead. So that's in there, all nice. You can see as you come along here, you've got these little switches and various things connecting to all this stuff. As we move along, yeah, not to mention the board, but we'll come back to that. You can see we've got the relay board there, and it's been fastened down. And although you might not see all the sort of wires on the top, some of them have been connected underneath. Across the back continues this stuff, basically with these little switches and the rest of it. It's a bit awkward, like I said, but you can do it. It might not be the tidiest of jobs. Mine looks reasonably okay. This lamp here, which is the lamp on the front telling you which channel you're on, that's actually powered from the board that's down over here on this other side. That power board we looked at first. The relay is held in place with this tie clip, and yeah, just stops it from falling out. Now down here at the bottom, although you can't see it, it's covered in wires around there, is the input for the guitar, and this top one's for the foot switch, you know, to change channels, and it's actually on the front of the amp, which I think is pretty nice. That's a good move, no matter what. Okay, well, that's about as good as I can get. Yeah, you can see the main board was populated, and I hope that your soldering joints are as shiny as those are, because anything else isn't really that good. You'll have difficulty in trying to do that on these little switches and the rest, although I'm sure some people can do it. I struggled a little bit with that, so they are on there, and they are bent over where I can bend them over and not bent over where I can't. But, you know, I'm not perfect, and probably neither are you. And here we are with the other half of the board. Like I said, this loop, you can see yourself, without me explaining it, that it's not the simplest of things to really do. Now, Nick and his colleagues have the wires sort of going over the top here, down there somewhere. I tended to feed them underneath where I could and keep all these other ones as short as I could. Because I think the shorter they are, the less chance of noise you can get in it. I could be wrong, but I don't really think so. You'll see the rest of the board here, how it's been built by me. And, you know, we followed this build all the way through, literally from when it arrived in its box. So I hope that it helps somebody somewhere. There's that power board we were talking about. And, you know, there's the output to the speakers. There's your ohms selector. And all the rest around the front, well, is what it is. We'll run across the front just to see what's on it. Yeah, it all sounds like a plan. Here we go. So at the front, we've got the power on, we've got a standby off and on, and we've got rectifier or tube. That's what the third switch was for, fancy that. And a pilot light that just tells you that there's some power on there. Moving along, we've got the master, we've got a high cut, we've got a presence, and we've got a bass. We'll move along to the rest in a second. Here we've got that says byte, yeah. And this one, if you can just about see it, which you can, is a channel selector. And this light down here, this LED, tells you what channel you're on, basically. Let's move along. Here we've got a mid, a treble, a volume 2 and a volume 1, which you can match, you know, and balance however you like. This one here is for gain character. This is mid boost, this is bright 2, this is bright 1. And like I said earlier, we've got an input at the top and a foot switch at the bottom. Okay, well, coming around the back, it's a T-Rec, not quite as the newest logo, or the other logo is. It's Ceriatone amplification. It's an all-access express version. We've got the effects loop, send and return, and you can have it on or off. Take your pick. Got a 4, 8 and 16 impedance switch. There's the speakers. We got NFB. We've got the biasing with the common, yeah, which we'll be doing later on. We've got power full or half power. We've got 2 fuses, 0.5 amp or a 3 amp for 120 or a 2 amp for 240. And we've got the nice simple mains connector, yeah, like all the other amps that you see. Okay, so what's the cost of this thing? Well, I can't describe it that much, but it's about, as I bought it, I think it's about £800 or something like that, with shipping, but no tubes, and I have the tubes, you see. So as far as cost goes, I think buying a handmade amp of this calibre for that sort of money, your chances are probably zero. And don't even think about going to buy one from the Friedmans of this world or any of the others that I could name. They just way out of line. They're sort of £3,000 or something more. And people tell me that, oh yeah, but theirs is better than the Ceriatone. Really? Yeah, okay. Now, if you've got any questions so far, you can put them down below. I can't guarantee I can answer them, but I know a man who can if I can't. But I can't spend thousands of hours answering every query. I guess that's what Nick's for when he's there. Well, he is there at Ceriatone, and, you know, I'm sure he'll help you. While you're here, you might as well subscribe, do that thumbs up thing, and ring that bell. Yeah, why not? Helps the channel. You can't understand the amount of work that you have to do to make a video like this. I'm back. Yes, I've got these, this Ravistat, that's what the brand is. Yeah, to keep me safe. Hope you've got one. And I've got a speaker card plugged in because, well, I needed to do that as opposed to some of the other stuff down there. Well, needless to say, yeah, it didn't work when I plugged it in. And I went through the voltages and all the rest of it, as you do, and they were way out. So I sent a picture of them to Nick, and Nick said, there's something funny there on the ground on V1A. Yeah, that's what he's saying. I'm looking at the ground, but it wasn't the ground. What it was, As you can see on that picture on the screen now, I've got pin 3 and pin 8, I think it is. Yeah, they're both yellow, and I flip them. Needless to say, it doesn't work when you do that. And I noticed if I just plugged into the return and touched the wires, you're getting the boom, 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 you know, the usual noise, but not that loud. So anyway, I switched them over, and now I've got the output through the clean channel, which is great. But there's clearly something else wrong, and I spoke with Nick, and his attitude was, oh yeah, something on channel, on tube 2, it isn't right. So that's where I've got to right now. So what I'm going to do is spend the time going through it all again and checking the voltages and checking that wiring. Okay, as another quick short update. The amp does actually power, and you can hear it. Nick keeps referring me back to V1A and V1, I think it's V1B for the grounds. So I'm going to go and investigate that in great depth. And you can hear it play. There it is. Yeah, there it is. It's all well and good, but there's no channel 2 and no drive. So there's clearly something awry somewhere. Okay, well, I did find a grounding problem. And the grounding problem was, well, it was a bit of a killer, really. I can show you how. Well, at least I can show you how I didn't find it. Now, most people watching this have been watching me filling in the green as I go to make sure everything's connected in the right place. It's a way of double checking what you've done. Best you can, at least. And that's what I've done. And yeah, I missed 2. And they were both grounds. You might just see a little purple circle there. But the wires that go to the board are actually green. Well, they would be. They're grounds, aren't they? So I missed them because they coloured green. Don't ask. It's just what happens. Now, I was speaking to Nick, as I've said earlier, and Nick was continually telling me, hey, Tony, grounds. And I was looking at the ground. Well, that's the first mistake. V1A has a particular ground, but V1B and 5 or 6 other points has also got other grounds. I had problems with switching, and the gain character is a bit of a pain in the neck, and so is the channel switch, because these two at the end, the volume 1 and volume 2, weren't quite hacking it. Well, in fact, they weren't working at all at one stage. So if you get anything like that, go and have a good look around that area, because I tell you now, it's very cramped and stuck together. You see that picture on the screen? Them are the sort of grounds. And that little switch with those 3 resistors is, yeah, I'm not even sure that's cured yet. It could be a dodgy switch. It's been messed around a bit, you know, soldered a number of times. In fact, this last time, I didn't show it on camera, but I actually took that out, soldered it all together here, and then fitted it back. Yeah, so it turns out he was telling me to have a look at all the resistors around V1A and B. And he dropped a comment. And last thing he said, also check the cathode resistor for V2. I have a hunch you got V2B cathode resistor wrong as well. And what it was, you could turn it up full, and it was sort of clean on that channel. It's really weird. There was virtually no distortion, or not a lot of distortion. So I'll go all the way through these resistors and check all the resistors I need and everything else. And I had one resistor over that was 10k. The 10k resistor that should be in there was 100k. And I can make that mistake, and I'm telling you now, so can you. I don't care how good or how bad you are, it can happen. Especially when you start getting entwined into it. I was focused for, oh, really, a day. So what's the net result? The net result is that 100k resistor doesn't feed the necessary through the tube, but the 10k one doesn't. That's why you end up with this this crunch, well, I won't call it a crunch channel, a drive channel that's almost clean. Yeah, that's what I found. And it changed the amp immediately. Let's talk about the problem I had. This problem gave me, and you've got a link to this down below, or it'll be on my website, or it'll be somewhere, because I'm going to do a fair bit about this one. But basically, these voltages, I've probably talked about them a lot in earlier videos on here, in this video, if you will. I was looking on V1 here, and I'd got it down to 257 volts when it should be 182. I got it to 1.9 instead of 1.43. I got it to 194 instead of 208, and I got it to 175 instead of 1.8. Well, them at the end are all right. It's these at the beginning that were the major problem. And Nick kept saying to me, Tony, you've got to get them voltages right. Well, it turned out to be yet another resistor that instead of being 100k, believe it or not, was 1k. I don't even know where the 1k's come from, but there it was, 1k. And I checked it. I thought, oh, it's in circuit, must be the problem. All the others tested okay, but that one, you know. So I pulled it out of circuit and tested, and there it was, staring me in the face. Yeah, 1k instead of 100k. And of course, the second I corrected that and put a 100k resistor in there, which I happened to have, which was more than judgment, the thing changed, everything changed. So the ones at the top were on the 27th of March, and the ones at the bottom were today, which is the 30th of March. Yeah, I haven't always got so much time to put behind it. I have put a lot of time behind this one, trying to find that second fault. It was staring me in the face, but I couldn't believe what it actually was. And you could be the same, bear that in mind. So I want to do a bit of summing up. Did I do the right thing in buying a kit with everything unassembled? It's an opinion, a view that only you yourself can have. You're either comfortable in building the things, you can solder for example, or you're not comfortable. And if you're not comfortable, you're not really the right guy. I can solder, I can do this, I can do that. I still make mistakes, as you've seen. But what I would say is, if you're a total novice and you can't solder even, I wouldn't recommend that you do it yourself. I mean, you might buy the kit from one of Ceriatone's dealers. They even have them in the UK and the USA and all over the place really these days. They're not like they used to be all them years ago. I think my first one was 2009. Yeah, a Dumble clone. What can I say? Great amp. Yeah, so whether it's for you is you have to sit down and weigh that up. If it is for you and you've got a basis, a reasonable basis, then I don't think you can go far wrong here. You know, you've got that support from the likes of Nick and his team. You can't put a value on that. It's just excellent. So for me, it was a great idea, and it's something I wanted to do because I'm still learning. Oh, you're not? Oh, you know everything, right? Well, I'm still learning, right? And I'm always prepared to sit back and put the hours in and learn. And thankfully, Nick helped me. What else is there? Well, there are lots of other amps. And this trainwreck thing, Fischer made, so they say, about 100 amps. So you're not really going to be able to just go and buy one, unless you got a lot of money. But this amp can be in its basic format, even in its basic trainwreck mode. It's pretty awesome amp. It really is. If you're into rock and you want a bit of drive, or even not drive, you can sort of back it off and you'll hear it later, it'll sustain all day. And yeah, I haven't got an amp like this in here. Really, what a wonderful amp, what a brilliant thing. And remember that I have not been sponsored for this video. I'm doing it off my own volition because this is that good. Yeah, if it was rubbish, I'd be telling you. You know that. Anybody who watches my channel, there's 40-odd thousand guys. If it's rubbish, I say so. If it's brilliant, I'd say so. This one deserves to have customers or potential customers know that this is really good stuff. I can't overstress that. Now listen, this video is long enough. I didn't go through every nut and bolt and this is how you solder a resistor in. You don't want me doing that, but I'm going to cover it again, probably on my website, this one. It's really up there with the best. So you'll find different information on my website. Maybe some of the other things I went through. I can't make this this video, I don't want to make it any longer. It's already too long. So you'll find all that stuff, and anytime now you're going to be able to hear it. Now, whether the music I play is your style of music or whether it isn't, or whether you think I'm a good player or I'm crap, doesn't really matter. It's the equipment tone that you should be judging this amp by, and maybe some of the features that I might show you or might not show you. I'm like that sometimes. That's going to be coming up now, and just before you do go, hey, don't forget to subscribe, will you? You'd better subscribe or I'll be round, right? Yeah, subscribe, do that thumbs up, and ring that bell. Ding, all. Yeah. So, thanks to Nick again. Thanks to you lot for sticking with this review, because it has been a long and difficult review for me. I'm happy I did it though. And if there's any more little bits and pieces I've got to fix, Nick comes back, and I'll go and do them. I might do them on camera, I might not, but yeah, you'll get what you get. So that's it for now on this one. Oh, am I glad to move it forward. Now get out of here. Here's the playing. Okay, so here we've got the Ceriatone, the all-access expression, which is basically what you've been looking at through all the way through the video. Now this is just set up on the Queen channel, on the middle, what's it say there? The middle bright. And yeah, I'll just move that around a bit. I'm just going to play a few chords so you get an idea of the, yeah, what it's like. I can't say more. Here we go. It's just a few chords. It's pretty loud. Okay, well, let's flip that to choice 1. You'll hear it go. Didn't sound that much difference, but there's actually quite a lot of difference. It's far more toppy. Okay, and I'll move it to the full left side, looking from the front. You'll see. Or you'll hear it, at least. So this is on the, I think, probably the most trebly this channel. It's very chimey. That's the phrase I would use. Very chimey indeed. But again, it's a strat and it's on the treble pickup. Let's try the other one. that's the clean channel. But there are a lot of other things you can do on this amp, other than what you've just heard, and particularly on the clean channel. Now if you turn the clean channel up, it will actually drive. Tell you what, let's switch that back to the bright, and now we're back to the channel as it should be set up, but it's turned up at about 3 o'clock. Hardly a clean channel. Put that back. But if you leave it turned up, we can back it down purely with this volume. And that's quite an uncommon thing for some amps, especially when you're on a clean channel and it's distorted at 3 o'clock in the afternoon there, and you can back it straight down just so easy. But as you're going to see on the drive channel, it's multiplied by 10. Okay, well now we're on the drive channel. Mark my words, it is. Well, it's at about 50%. Yeah, it's about 12 o'clock, and I haven't changed any of the other settings at all. Sounds pretty much like the last one, doesn't it? Or the last channel. You get the idea, but of course as you start bringing it up a bit, well, we're up 4 on this now and there's so much left on the amp. Well, here we go, just on this piece. To me, it's a sort of classic rock tone. Sort of. In the room at least. I don't know what it'll be like where you are. Thank God. So I'm going to bring this up. You can hear a bit of hiss now. Just. But it is very loud. Of course that's still on the exact same settings that we were on with it at 12 o'clock. You can probably hear that. Of course, as soon as you bring it up,